You're watching the Moto G31 Disassembly. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and follow me on Twitter so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. If you need any tools, there are links in the description. First, the SIM tray needs to be removed. Next, we need to place our pry tool in between the back housing and the frame of the screen and run it along the edges to pop off the catches. Now, before we can completely lift up and remove the back housing, there's adhesive holding the fingerprint reader to the back housing, so we're going to have to push down on the fingerprint reader to separate it from the back housing. The back housing is made of plastic. On the inside there's a graphite pad as well as graphene film on the bottom, and the graphene film helps transfer heat. There's also an antenna flex cable on the top and one on the bottom. At this point, there are 18 Phillips screws that need to be removed. Once the screws are removed, we can lift up and remove the top plastic cover. The glass camera lens covers can be replaced by applying heat and gently prying them off. There's also more graphene film on the top plastic cover. Here's a look at the other side. Now that we have access to the battery cable, we're going to disconnect that first. Once the battery cable is disconnected, we can proceed to disconnect the rest of the cables. There's a coaxial cable on the bottom right of the board that needs to be popped off and disconnected. There's also some copper tape that needs to be peeled up in order to disconnect the front-facing camera. Now the main board can be removed. The 50 megapixel lens is located on top, the 8 megapixel ultra wide lens is located in the center, and the 2 megapixel macro lens is located below. And neither have any OIS. The LED flash is located next to the main camera, the headphone jack is located on the top right, and there's a secondary microphone located on top. On the top left, next to the headphone jack, there's a liquid damage indicator, which is that white sticker, and the proximity sensor is located on the top right. The camera connectors can be disconnected by just popping them off. The SIM card and memory card reader is located on the back as well, and there's some thermal paste on top of these two shields. Once the removable shields are removed, we can see thermal paste on top of the processor and RAM, as well as this chip over here. I would have preferred some thermal paste or graphene film on top of this shield as well to better transfer heat with a better contact between the shield and the frame. Here's a better look at it with thermal paste removed. The speaker assembly can be removed by lifting it up. Here's the speaker itself. The flex cable connecting the main board to the subboard as well as the other end of the coaxial cable need to be disconnected. There's a single Phillips screw holding the subboard down that needs to be removed. Now the subboard can be lifted up and removed. There's a rubber gasket around the charger port, a liquid damage indicator which is a white sticker in the center, and the primary microphone located here. And here's a look at the other side. In order to remove the battery, there are no pull tabs provided to help us pry the battery off, so we're going to have to use some isopropyl alcohol and apply some to the sides of the battery and let it sit there for about 30 seconds to a minute so it eats away at the adhesive underneath, making it easier to pry off. Here's a better look at the battery. Once the battery is removed, we can see the flex cable for the screen, which is routed to an opening in the mid-frame, as well as this flex cable which connects the main board to the subboard. So if you needed to replace your screen, you need to remove the back housing, as well as the screws on the top cover and remove the top cover, disconnect the battery cable and screen cable, pry off the battery to gain access to the screen cable. At that point you would heat up the front of the phone where the screen is to loosen up the adhesive underneath, pry your old screen off, apply new adhesive, reapply your new screen, making sure you run the cable back to the opening in the mid-frame, and reassemble your phone. Moving on, the vibrator motor is located on the bottom corner, and it's held down with some adhesive. The flex cable for the power button and volume keys is located on the side, and if you needed to replace that, you could just peel it off. And the earpiece speaker is located on top, and that's also held down with some adhesive. There's also another liquid damage indicator underneath the SIM tray on the frame. For repairability score, I give this phone a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to put the phone back together. Once everything's back in place, flip over the phone, power it on, and you're done. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.